Hello, this is Alan Bourey.
And this is Jim Bourey.
Today, for our fourth video, we're going to read the first chapter of our book, From Peril to Light, both together. So we'll have Jim start.
And bear in mind, we're not professional readers at all. So we will do our best, and please enjoy this. I think we're going to enjoy it, aren't we, Alan?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so let's begin. Part 1, Chapter 1, Raleigh, North Carolina, May 7th, 2021, 5:09 p.m. The tension grows as they drive. When they enter the downtown area, both feel their hearts pounding, seeming to beat as one. Will their prayers be answered? Or will their young lives, as they know it, soon be over? Neither they nor others who they are about to encounter could imagine the events that would soon unfold. They follow the rear of a departing silver Audi, most likely driven by one of downtown Raleigh's more privileged class, and pull into the space closest to the corner. Before exiting the car, both manually roll up their windows, which had been down during the unair-conditioned ride in their oppressive heat. Each pulls his long body out of the small car, neither glance at the other, attempt to conceal what neither would hide, feelings of dread threatening their resolve. Instead, they look up at the ominous gathering thunderheads. Suddenly, as if to signal impending doom, a bolt of lightning ignites the sky, followed quickly by two resounding cracks, one of thunder, the other indicating the lightning had struck a target. The burst of lightning and ensuing concussion sends shockwaves through their bodies, frazzling their already ragged nerves. As both try to shake the destabilizing effect of the explosion, they eye skeptically the rusty gray 2000 Nissan Sentra, built the year before they were born. They pray the car will be adequate for their getaway. Hopefully, a short time from now. Why didn't they have another person ready to drive by and swoop them up, aiding a swift retreat? No, it would just be the two of them, as it had always been since their near simultaneous births. Well, and her. Beginning their walk of 3 fateful blocks, they feel the intense heat which has broken all records for May. The ominous dark sky portends more violence, but also perhaps a potential break in the dangerous heat. Shivering in great contradiction to the outdoor furnace, their cadence is that of a slow march. Their usually graceful yet powerful strides affected by the mission ahead. They expect to return to be an all-out sprint. At least they know they can run very fast if they get the opportunity. The sun slips between cracks in the downtown buildings as if chased by the menacing clouds. Each wonders what will happen before the sun sets. Will this be their last? What will the sunrise bring for them? Will there be a them or even a me? 1 block down, 2 to go. The increasing number of white-collar workers hustling from their respective high-rise buildings, beginning their rush toward the weekend, are oblivious to the plans in the pair of heads moving slowly up and down in unison. These heads are now drenched in sweat underneath black wool stocking caps pulled down low and black COVID-19 masks covering most of the rest of their faces. Only small parts of their dark African skin are visible along with their brown eyes, exuding warmth and kindness, in contrast to their current mission. Head coverings are not common among those who pass them by, but they do not draw commuters' attention during this Friday flight from their offices. What would she think of their quest? Despite the noble cause, both know the obvious answer. But she is not the proper person to judge these actions, or is she? While it is her need, it would never be her choice, and therefore she can never know. If she lost her only two children, it would lead to unrelenting grief. It might even cause her to lose grip on her life-sustaining faith. The cold, hard steel, the semi-automatic pistols tucked into the gap between their faded, baggy jeans and the smalls of their back, and covered by lightweight, loose-fitting sweatshirts, feel both unfamiliar and foreboding. Their clothing also hides their lithe, 6'2", 180-pound frames. Will the hasty training of the Glock 19 pistols with 33 rounds of magazines be sufficient? 2 blocks down, 1 to go.
Both look up at the imposing granite 30-story RTBT building. Although relatively young by banking standards, Research Triangle Bank and Trust has grown rapidly, and the building with its name is now a prominent fixture in the resurgent downtown Raleigh skyline. The bank is ahead on their left. The bank entrance is intimidating with its grandiose design, including 10-foot glass doors. Access to the rest of the large building is around the corner through a separate entrance with less formal doors offering a side access to the bank lobby, bank elevators, a drugstore, and a brokerage firm. They've been to the bank only once before to check on the layout. That trip was ostensibly to visit Veronica, a teller at the bank they know from Wake Technical Community College, where they're trained to be EMTs. They feel a sense of remorse that she unknowingly provided information about bank operations during what seemed to be just casual conversation. They truly hope she will not be implicated by the events to unfold. At least she's not working today. Since the bank requires everyone to wear a mask, their mask will not be out of place, but will help conceal their identities. Stocking caps are frequently seen as a fashion statement, even in warm temperatures. During their prior visit, they could only learn about the publicly accessible parts of the bank. They had not wanted to stay very long for fear someone might later recognize them. Risking a visit to the city building department to look at floor plans, Isaiah had traced a basic sketch of the outline of the entire first floor, which helped significantly in making their plans. Rather than use the less conspicuous second entrance off the building lobby, they decided to go in the main entrance as it gives them a direct view of the entire lobby, including the tellers and the customer service area. The bank covers about half of the building's first floor. They approach the main entrance. As the brothers near the bank, inside, the assistant branch manager, Charlie Hayworth, is in his backroom office. In his early 30s, of slightly less than average height and thin build, his most noticeable feature is his brown hair doing its own thing, resulting in a loose, curly patch on the top of his head that might attract some bird species, but is kept clean and shiny. Many would find it attractive. His face has no hint of a 5 o'clock shadow, lacks the hard features of most men his apparent age. He rings the control room on the other end of the back area. Dakish, this is Charlie. Just wanted to let you know that the vicious bolt of lightning that we just heard a few minutes ago hit a power source. Word is we could end up with a brownout or even a blackout due to the heavy use of power with this heat wave. I'll be in to see you as usual in a few minutes while we wait for the last few customers to leave. Sure hope we don't lose power. That could screw up our computer system in here. See you soon, Dakish responds. The bank's IT specialist. Dakish, also in his early 30s, is a recent immigrant from India. He's rather short and relatively fit. His thin hair, dark hair, covers his ears and is accompanied by something akin to a goatee, which has dark but sparsely populated hair. He's the only one in the control room. The person who normally watches the security cameras is already off for a long weekend.
5:26 p.m. The brothers need to be inside the bank before 5:30. the extended Friday closing time, at which time the security guard locks the doors to the lobby. As they reach the double wide doors leading to the vestibule for the often used ATMs, they finally look at each other as Elijah grabs the left door and Isaiah the right, each mirror of the other. No one in the 6-foot deep space to impede their movements, they duplicate their joint entry to the cavernous, ornate lobby. The doors they pass through are on the right side of the public bank space. They enter the bank lobby. Straight ahead, on the far side of the lobby, is the bank entrance from inside the building. The formal lobby is dressed in rich wood wainscoting, imprinted with inlaid panels on the walls, decorative crown molding where the walls and ceiling meet, and a large circular cove inset with recessed lighting in the center of the ceiling. To their left is a carpeted area that includes the waiting and customer service areas and bank tellers. The waiting area has 3 plush couches and 3 chairs. The teller window lined up along the far wall have long 4-foot high counter, also made with rich wood with inlaid panels. Behind customer service are French doors leading to the office space. From their research, they know, even though they have not seen it, that the office area includes a control room, vault, 3 offices, and a break area. The brothers can see the guard beginning to lock the doors to the other entrance. He's a bit early, so they are glad they did not wait, did not cut it any closer. Both catch their breath as they look toward the lone teller on duty. There are 7 people in line. With another glance toward each other, each sees the other's eyes constricted with concern. Why did they pick a Friday? While they knew there would be reduced staffing due to a COVID outbreak at the bank, they would prefer fewer customers. Elijah moves his eyes slightly in the direction of the customer service area. A woman is sitting by herself at one of the 3 desks in the area. Elijah nods slightly to his brother, and their plans change, each understanding as if they could hear each other's thoughts. The woman in her mid-30s replaces the teller as their initial target. Even when sitting, she appears quite tall and a bit intimidating. Her natural red hair is bushy and long, giving her a rugged appearance despite a welcoming, pleasant face. One might describe her as healthy looking. She is dressed in a plain white blouse, which makes her hair stand out even more. Her light blue dress just covers by intent her prominent knees. Elijah walks slowly toward the woman, whose eyes are fixed on the keyboard, intent on completing her task. Her task before her time to leave, as she has no reason to know that she will soon not be leaving in a few minutes. Elijah approaches, with his steps muffled by the carpet. Elijah begins moving into position to the right side of the entrance while he waits for the guard to come his way. On the other side of the bank lobby, the security guard has completed locking the doors to the lobby entrance and is closing blinds to cover the glass wall, which allows people to see into the bank from the hallway. After closing the blinds, the guard moves towards the main doors in Elijah's direction. Veronica mentioned that the security guard was a recent hire, inexperienced, and had not been provided much training. Being a security guard was the only work he could find in the Raleigh area where his daughter lived and where she had encouraged him to come to seek work. He is wearing a typical security guard uniform over his solid, thick frame coming from years of physical work. The many wrinkles in his face show wear beyond his 55 years. Yet, even with his broad, hard-set face, a benevolence comes through. Despite being under his security guard hat, his half-inch long hair stands straight up as if soldiers at attention. When the powerfully built guard is near the main entry doors, Elijah is close to his quarry. Both brothers stop, but slight smiles cross their faces as they see the guard begin to unlock the main door and close the blinds nestled between the double panes of glass in the lobby door. These actions shut off sight into the main portion of the lobby, but still allow access to the 24-hour ATM in the small room outside the main lobby. The bank's practice was for the guard to let out each bank customer after completing their business while not allowing the other customers to enter. The dying light filters in through the large plate glass windows surrounding the front and right sides of the building. Since the bottom of the windows begin 6 feet above the sidewalk, the events that are about to happen will not be visible from outside.
Isaiah moves to the front of the desk and sits down as casually as he can, angling his chest away from the patrons and teller, about 20 feet away, as if he's giving them the cold shoulder. As he sits, he covertly slips his gun from the small of his back, hiding the weapon under his sweatshirt until his final movement reveals the gun in front of his chest. When showing her the gun, he says very quietly, "Don't even think about an alarm. Do exactly as I say. First, give me your cell phone. Second, get on your office phone and put on speaker so I can hear. Tell the person who's in the control room you have a gun pointed at you. He needs to immediately leave the control room and come out to your desk. Tell him he has 15 seconds to do it or else. He's not to attempt to contact anyone, or both of you will regret it. Turn the volume down on the speaker. You understand?" Involuntarily, her frightened eyes flashed to a photo of 4 on her desk, in which she appears with a uniformed police officer, presumably her husband, and 2 young girls. The solidly built woman calmly hands Isaiah her cell phone and replies, "Please do not shoot. I'll do what you say." As he turns her phone off with one hand, he looks uncomfortable with the gun in his other hand. His inexperience with weapons is obvious. Will his inexperience lead to a disaster? As her callers answered, with Isaiah listening intently, she, in a measured and very cautious tone, "Dakish, this is Mary O'Brien in customer service," speaking softly enough so she is not overheard. "Please listen to me closely. Do not press any alarms or warn anyone. You are on speaker. There's a person at my desk who is holding a semi-automatic pistol on you. Please do exactly as he wants. You must leave the control room immediately and come to my desk. Turn off all your cell phone. Do not send out any messages or call anyone. Bring it with you. You have 15 seconds, please. He has the gun pointed at me. Do you understand? Come quickly." In the control room, Dakish quickly glances at the image on the closed circuit camera on the wall behind the customer service area. The monitor shows Mary and a young black male sitting in front of her. The man holds a gun stealthily near his chest. He has failed to see the weapon earlier. There were so many displays, and he was working on a solution to a programming issue. He responds in his Indian lilt with a shaking voice, "I'm sorry, Mary. Please assure him that I will follow his demands. I'll be right out." In about 10 seconds, Dakish emerges from the back and comes to Mary's desk. As soon as Dakish arrives, Isaiah nods his head to Elijah. Seconds later, time slows down for both brothers. Elijah draws close to the guard who has remained by the doors. Using his right hand to raise the back of the sweatshirt, his left hand finds the handle of the Glock and swiftly pulls the gun around to the side of his body, away from the guard. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the gun is pointed at the guard's chest. Before the guard can raise his eyes from the cell phone, which is in his hands, Elijah quickly commands, "Do not move. Slowly hand me your cell phone. Now raise your hands and turn around." As the guard complies, Elijah removes the guard's weapon and tucks it in his jeans where his Glock had been. Simultaneously, Isaiah stands and positions himself to the left of Mary so he can see her. Dakish, the teller, and everyone in line. The teller's about 20 feet away. He shouts to everyone in the lobby, "No one move. I have a gun pointed at this lady," words you could never have imagined that he would say. Instantly, the young teller is in a state of wide-eyed panic. She glances towards the edge of the counter in front of her, where her alarm button is located. This is the most dangerous part of their plan. They'd hoped to be right next to the teller at this juncture. Will she quickly press the alarm, or will she hesitate out of fear? Before giving the teller time to think, through her choice, Isaiah shouts at her, "Don't even think about pushing that button." She pulls her hand back as if it's touching a hot burner. Relief washes over them. They had agreed to only use weapons to defend themselves, yet they knew they had to convince people otherwise. Thus far, it looks like they had been convincing. Looking at the guard, Elijah waves his gun in an upward arc toward the line of customers, indicating to him to walk toward the others who were frozen in place, exhibiting a mixture of surprise and fear. At the same time, Isaiah directs the ashen-faced teller to come from behind the counter to join them. Mary and Dakish also join them. After the 4 bank employees join the other 7, Elijah instructs the entire group of 6 men and 5 women. Each of you please place your cell phones and all purses and bags on the floor in front of you. Then back up 5 feet. All complied. A man in his 60s, dressed in an expensive suit, assists an older man at the end of the line who appears to be blind. After turning off all the phones, stuffing them in multiple oversized pockets in his jeans, and collecting handbags and putting them near him, Elijah next commands, "Everybody spread out, 2 feet from each other, and turn and face the opposite wall." Again, all do as they are told, including the blind man, again assisted by the same man. Elijah goes to each and searches for any weapons by patting them down with his free right hand. When it is his turn to be searched, the guard proclaims in trite fashion, "You know you'll never get away with this." But Isaiah does not respond. Elijah first searches the men, the guard, the techie, the blind man, and the man in his early 60s, and 2 other well-dressed young men. Then he approaches a woman whose entire head, except her face, is covered by a hijab in the tradition of the Muslims. Elijah apologizes in advance. "I'm sorry that I got to do this. That also goes for you other ladies," directing his words to Mary, the teller, a young Hispanic woman, and a middle-aged woman with caramel-colored skin. Finding nothing in the search, Elijah demands, "Please move slowly to the waiting area. Take a seat on the couches," as he points to the area with his clock. And, directing his words to the man in his 60s, "Please help this man find his way." Elijah picks up the bags to bring them with him and places them on the table in the middle of the seating area. "Except for you," Isaiah tells Dakish, "you and I are going back to the control room. Please lead the way." They leave the others for the control room, with Dakish in front. On the way to the couches, the guard again speaks in his unique West Virginia drawl. "I think y'all have bitten off more than you can chew. Got a lot of people here to keep track of. I would be more than a bit worried if I were you." Elijah again does not respond. The assistant to the blind man is addressing the guard with his New Jersey accent. "I don't think you are helping out here. Why don't you just be quiet? Steve Smith? That is your name, right?" He adds, looking at the guard's name tag. "And who are you?" the guard asks, responding quickly. "My name is Daniel Schwartz, if you must know, and I'm sure you're embarrassed letting him get the drop on you." Daniel is a somewhat rotund man. He looks to be about 60 years old and casts an air of self-confidence, although apparently a bit out of his element in this setting. It appears he leads a relatively sedentary life, with many comforts. He is well-dressed in a well-tailored but ill-fitting, lightweight, medium blue suit, light blue shirt, and colorful bow tie. Even though it may be a bit early in the season, he has broken out the attire during the extremely hot weather. His hair is parted in a perfectly straight line down the left edge of his rather large head, with a hint of a comb over. His generous face includes large features. Before Steve can respond, the middle-aged lady interjects, "Gentlemen, please be quiet. None of this is helpful." Mary and Dakish glance at each other. Neither of the brothers yet know about the assistant manager in the back. Eventually, the 10 are seated on the 3 couches and a chair, providing for waiting patrons.
5:42 p.m. Upon entering the back office, Elijah and Dakish are in a short hallway beyond which Elijah can see 4 doors leading to individual offices, which he correctly assumes are for management. As they emerge from the hallway, Isaiah sees a vault to his right. Isaiah and Dakish make their way to the control room. Isaiah can see the door to the control room is ajar. You're going to shut off all the closed-circuit cameras, Isaiah says to Dakish. Then erase all the video from 5 p.m. today until now. You understand? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. After all the monitors are off and the videos erased? All done, sir. Just as you requested. Come back to the lobby with me, Isaiah commands. As they turn towards the control room door, Charlie, the assistant bank manager, appears just inside the doorway. As Elijah and Charlie's eyes meet, Charlie turns to his right, opens a metal cover on the control room wall, and flips a previously concealed switch, engaging a newly installed device, preventing anyone from opening the bank's exit doors. Isaiah sees the unexpected man turn to the man's right and instantly moves towards him, firing his gun over Charlie's head, yelling, "Stop!" The bullet passes between the top of the 10-foot doorway and the man's head. Charlie becomes a statue. In the lobby, Isaiah and his 10 captives hear the gunshot reverberate into the large space, heightening their anxiety. Elijah jumps out of his chair, screams, "Issa!" plaintively looking around feverishly in the hope that he might discover what is happening with his brother. He subconsciously puts his gun down on the seat of his chair to use both hands to feel his chest and abdomen. He does not believe that he himself might have been shot, but he expects to feel the pain if Isaiah had been hit with a bullet. The eyes of Isaiah's captors also dart all around the room, searching in vain for evidence of what is happening, finally turning with wild, inquisitive stares towards each other. While Elijah's gun is on the chair, the guard leaps off his couch and races towards Elijah, jumping over the coffee table between them. But before he can cross the 15 feet, Elijah sees the guard coming toward him and quickly picks up the Glock. He points it at the guard, who stops less than 2 feet from the barrel of the gun pointing at him. The guard slowly backs up, not taking his eyes off the firearm, nor turning his back on Elijah. Elijah keeps his eyes on the guard as he dejectedly retreats to the couch. In the back, as Charlie halts in place, Isaiah turns around to check Dakish. The moment that Isaiah turns his head and torso, Charlie reaches out to his right to the electrical panel below the switch he had flipped, opens the door, and pulls the master level to turn off all the power to the building. Immediately, everything is pitch black. But as the backup emergency lighting along the lower portion of the wall comes on, providing enough light, Isaiah is pointing his gun right at Charlie's head from a dozen feet away. Isaiah fears that this unanticipated person has done something to ruin their plans. Isaiah rushes at him, knocking Charlie off from the electrical box with his shoulder and throws the lever back into the on position. Isaiah doesn't realize that his mask, helping to cover his identity, comes off in the confrontation. As the power re-engages, the lights come on with an ever-increasing intensity, lighting up his uncovered face for a few seconds until the lights disappear, as if their intensity caused them to burn out. Again, the bank is plunged into total darkness. Within moments, the lights throughout the city begin to die, as if duly following those in the bank building. End of chapter 1.
We hope you've enjoyed this reading, and whether you read the book or not, if you have not read the book, perhaps you'll get encouraged to read it now. This next week, we are going to talk in our video about changing from nonfiction writing to fiction writing. Jim and I both have written 2 fiction books previously. So what are the challenges when you change from nonfiction to fiction? And we hope that you'll find that interesting as well. So goodbye for now.